Grand Concourse 149th Street station in the Bronx, graffiti writers gather at what they call the writer's bench.
What's good, what's good, what's good? Live from the Writers Bench, it's your man Kill back for another episode. Got my soldiers on deck. We got Ev and JP. What's going on, y'all?
Yes.
Yo, we sitting up here just chopping it up. We got a topic for y'all tonight, but we just chopping it up. JP was telling me that the boy Lil Shawn from Hickey's on My Neck, Lil Shawn, was a street dude, and I ain't know about that. So he was telling us about Lil Shawn got a book out called The Black Church. So what were you saying, Jeff?
Yeah, he got a book out about the Black Church. I'm not exactly too sure exactly what it's about, like if it's a fiction or nonfiction. It might, contain some elements of his life. Maybe it's sort of loosely based or whatever, or maybe his experience that he had in the Black Church or whatever. So, I might pick it up. It might be an interesting read or whatever. So, but yeah, he was a street dude.
The joints sound good. Yeah, dog, I would have never known Lil Shawn. Like I told you, if you light skin and good hair, you can't be no street dude to me. So I'm just shocked,
It's funny because when I said Sean Penn, I wasn't even thinking about the actor. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, there is the actor Sean Penn.
I'm sitting here like you, like me, and I'm like Sean. I'm like, what?
Nah, that's what he goes by now, Sean Penn. That's what he goes by now. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
He actually used to ghostwrite for other MCs back then. Like he ghostwrote for Father MC, and there's other ones that he can't really get into, but things like that. So,
how old is this dude? He looks like a young cat. How old is he?
I mean, he's probably got to be a little bit older than us because. I think when he first got his deal, he was like maybe 17 or something like that, and he was down with Howie T too. Howie T was his man.
Right. He was down with that whole Chubb Rock crew, right?
Yeah. Howie T was his man and all that, and so I mean, it was an interesting. When I was into the Combat Jack podcast, he went into detail about some things that I knew about, and then some things I didn't know about him. But it was interesting.
Yeah, I gotta check that out because that joint I made love for the very first time. That was a banger, man. Cass can front, but that joint was a banger back in the day, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was just definitely interesting, man. A lot of things about his, almost signing with Uptown and end up going to Capitol Records, and first he was on Select Records, and it was interesting.
Right. All right, well, cool, y'all. We had a whole show planned, and then I was talking to Ev. And I said something to Ev, and Ev was like, yo, man, we got to do a show about that. You know what I mean? So, Ev, basically what happened was I was putting the beat out the machine, and I was telling Ev, I was like, yo, you got to come through and mess with this joint, man. This is it. I was like, yo, you couldn't pay me to get back on the MPC again. And Ev, what was your reaction?
That's blasphemous, man. That's crazy. Like, how do you say that, man? That's like a Christian, like, yo, man, I got the Bible app on my iPad. I don't need that book no more. That's like, damn, bro, like that.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you something, man. This machine joint, and I don't know. And then the great thing is we're sitting here with two producers, so But the thing is with the machine, man, this thing is life changing, man. It's life altering, man. Like this joint has me doing stuff like I never did before, man. With making beats. Let me not go too far into what this.
You about to say some sex stuff or something. Yeah. I know he's about to have pussy for the whole time.
Keep on going.
Nah. I'm gonna fall back. But JP, you know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
It was like, but I mean, I think it's just a gradual progression, man. It's almost like I remember when everything in hip hop was the SP1200 and the S950. Like that was just what everybody used. You know what I mean? And I remember, when I first got down and JP got down with making beats, that's what, Bezo and Roots and them had the SP12 and ASR 10. So some people had that, but somehow, some way, the SP12 was intertwined with something else or just stood alone by itself. Right. And then eventually, cats moved on. I remember reading an interview with Lord Finesse and him saying he was out in LA for those Chronic 2001 sessions, and he was saying like he felt like Fred Flintstone, like having to load up the SP and it taking all day, you know. And then Cats had the MPC 3000 out there, and he said as soon as he left LA, he came back to New York and got the 3000. But the Machine, man, I just feel like
I got some questions for you.
All right, what you got?
All right, just so you have a little background.
It's gonna be a good one. Go ahead.
Just so you have a little background, I'm an MPC cat. I started on an MPC 60. Now I moved away from the MPC. I'm a Logic cat now. I teach Logic. I do Logic. Logic is my thing. It works for me for what I'm doing. But I'm still, you know, the MPC, the SP are still like, you know, they like, you know, they're the foundation of hip hop to me.
Right.
So what is it about the Machine? Now, if you can break it down, we're gonna talk producer talk. What is it about the Machine that makes it that much easier than it? Because I mean, for me, I've never used a Machine. I'm not a real live cat. What's the name of the product of that thing, that software?
Ableton Live?
Ableton, yeah. I'm not a big Ableton cat. I have it, but I don't want to use it because it doesn't fit for my workflow. So what is it about the Machine? Because I know the Machine is kind of like around that section somewhere. What is it about the Machine that makes it better than the MPC? And are we talking MPC 3000? Are we talking MPC 2000? Where are you coming from, and how did you wind up on the Machine?
What happened was, well, to answer the first question, I'm talking about any MP. Like MP, Akai would literally have to pay me to use the MPC again.
You real disrespectful on this show tonight, cuz. You real disrespectful.
Yo, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm being dead serious. Like Akai would literally have to pay me.
Wait, hold up. Before you get to that. Now, you love this Machine because it makes a lot of things easier.
I mean, it's an array of things that it does. Like, you know, the first thing that I would say is that it does make everything easier. It's like the workflow works a lot faster. And I think because of social media, because of the way things are with, you know, our MacBooks and, you know, both of you guys being producers, you know, there was a time when you couldn't even imagine, you know, taking your laptop and, you know, something else and making beats in the hotel room or taking your equipment with you. So I think for me, it makes my work.
Like, for example, just a quick example, like what's easier?
Literally, like, chopping a sample is so much quicker on this versus the 2000 XL where I'm coming from. I never rocked with the 3000. I came up, I started on SP12, and to be honest, I didn't like the SP12. When my man Osei first got it, I didn't like the SP12 because of the sampling time, because Osei only had the SP12.
Right.
And then I grew to the ASR 10. And I was an ASR dude for a long time. And JP, you know, because you were an ASR dude, my beef with the ASR at the time was that you couldn't do point tempo. So my tempo would be 92 or 93 or 94 or 95. And then my man Miles had the 3000, the MPC 3000. I would go over his crib and the sample wouldn't be fitting. And then I saw he could make it be 82.5 or 82.3 to get it perfectly. So that was always my beef with the ASR. And then I won't hold you, I always wanted a drum machine. It was something about pads, like, you know, that I always wanted. So then I came into the 2000 XL. So that's the MP, that's my history of the game up to the MPC 2000 XL. So just chopping on this literally can take seconds versus maybe minutes, you know. And I know that sounds crazy, but remember, this is the society that we live in, that you get the Note 4. You see the test on like the YouTube, like is the Note 4 faster than the Note 3? It's faster by 0.8 seconds. And so we're just a faster society. So I can chop up a sample literally into 16 different pads in under a minute. Like, and to me, that helps my workflow just go that much easier, because I won't front. Some days I'm a lazy producer and I'm like, on the 2000 XL, I'm like, God, do I really want to chop this sample up? Like, do I really want to take the time? You know, I don't feel that way anymore. So it gives me a whole bunch more creative freedom to, like, that's not a hindrance to me now. Like, if I'm like, oh, I got to chop this sample up in 16 different pieces, or put it on 32 different pads, that's nothing. Like, that happens like that now.
So let me ask you this. What about, because I really, not that I stopped, but I haven't, and I'll probably get back to it, but I haven't been sampling a lot lately. So what are the advantages besides the sampling, you know, chopping up samples and stuff like that you like about it?
You know, to be honest, I like it because it has, I mean, just the base model has such a sound library. And that was something that you know, again, JP and F, coming up in our days, you know, we didn't come up when sound libraries were available to you. You know, cats had to find their own drums, you know, even if you sampled another producer's drums. So like on my MP, I had my own, you know, things of drums. But it was always, and keeping in mind that the era again that we came up in, basically it was kick, snare, hi-hat.
Right.
You know, that was your drums. You know, maybe you have an open hi-hat, maybe you have a shaker, but for the most part, I've always just been a kick, snare, hi-hat producer. If you listen to any of my beats on the ASR 10, the 2000 XL, it's those three things. With the library that this machine has, I mean, dog, I'll use up 16 pads just on drums. You know, I'm using toms now. I'm just using everything in this joint now. The drums are, you know, so the library is there. So again, even with just the drums, I mean, JP, I'm sure, because I saw a video, and if not, I'll send it to you. They had a video where the cats, I forgot the name of them, but they did the joint Shireen for Kendrick Lamar.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw them too. Yeah,
Right, and they got
that bass player over there.
So again, I'm sure you can use it. I haven't used it right now with with any live instruments, but I'm sure that it can do that, you know, and beyond. And to go back to your question, what got me on the machine was my MPC 2000 XL had a zip drive, you know, and the problem is it broke. And this was the second time in, I guess, 8 years that it broke. And to get it replaced was gonna be like $250, and then like zip disks are like non-existent. Like I gotta go on Amazon, and you know, you gotta, I mean, like to get 4 of them, it's like $80. It's like $100. So I'm like, I better stock up. So it was looking like to get the MPC repaired, I was.
No, I just pulled out my zip disk.
Oh yeah, exactly. So them joints, you know, I was going up in Office Depot, like, y'all got any zips? And the guys working there was like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, what you mean? You know, they pulled out jump drives, and I'm like, no, like, zip this, and they're like, yo, like, people were literally like, yo, I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? So it literally was like, damn, you know. So I was always scared that I'm gonna get to this point where I'm not gonna be able to find those zip disks. You know what I mean? So to get all of that was gonna be like $300-400. And my man, shouts to my man Crazy Fingers Theo, he's on the machine. He was always talking about it and everything like that. And it was like, yo, I could buy the machine brand new for $500. So I was like, do I repair the MP and probably be in the same position in another 4 years where the zip dies and I can't find zips, or go get the machine? Because my thing has always been, I need to touch the pad. So I've never been a Fruity Loops dude or anything like that. So this kind of felt like this was the best of both worlds. I'm still getting a drum machine where I can hit the pads, but then I still got all the computer software and all that stuff. So that's how I got on the machine. And at first, I won't hold you, I didn't like the machine. And I think I called you, and I was like, yo, man, you can't, you know, both of y'all know in the MP, you can change the sequence. So sequence 1 can be 82.5 and sequence 2 can be 93.5. You can't do that in this. You know what I mean? So that was my initial beef. I mean, literally from the first day, I was about to send it back. Like, yo, screw it, I don't like it. And my man Theo was like, nah, Kill, rock with it for a minute. And Ev, you kind of had to walk me through some stuff, you know, because even when I would be sending you tracks to mix for me, you was always like, why your tempo's all over the place? You know what I mean? And you kind of got me into understanding the chop it and mess with the sample time and all of that. But again, doing that in the MP, like, dog, for me to change the, you know, and y'all know, for cats who may not really understand what we're talking about, is when we're saying like change the God, I don't even
know. It's a producer show. It's all good.
But I mean, they all cats who are producers, so I want to leave them out. I go to church and my pastor be like talking about marriage. He be like, single people don't tune me out, so I don't want this to be like, you know, the regular people who watch like, oh, I don't know what they talking about, so I'm gonna tune them out. But we're talking about like JPF, help me. What am I trying to do when you take a sample and you change the tempo of it, like to get it to fit, like time stretching?
Okay.
Yeah, time stretching. So when you're time stretching the MPC, you've got your sample. And again, for cats who may not know, you know, if you got a sample that's going fast and you want to slow it down, but you don't want it to be like, you know, have that low, you know, that if the sample is I get up, I go, you don't want to be like I get up and I go. With time stretching, it will slow it down, but it keeps the same pitch of it.
Right.
You know, I put that in the MP and hit time. You know, I can get up, go downstairs, get me something to drink, you know, come back upstairs. The joint is still like, you know, work. I hit apply, it's applied. Like, it literally takes a process that used to take maybe 2 minutes and makes it instant. And again, somebody may be thinking like, well, damn, it's 2 minutes. But again, remember, we're the super fast. We want the iPhone that goes the fastest. We want 4G. We don't want 3G. So just keep in mind that 2 minutes is a lot of time, and it kind of stops your workflow. Like I said, I literally would get up, leave the studio, come back in and be like, oh, still doing it? Okay, you know. But I didn't mind it because the ASR didn't have it. So to me, it's like, wow, I got a new feature that the ASR didn't have. So, you know, I don't mind the time, but now when you get this, it's like, wow, man, this thing just...
Let me ask you a question, though. You're able to put your sample in, and it'll chop it up for you into what, 32? Is it 32 pads that chops it up into?
I mean, it can chop it up into whatever, and they actually have a function that literally, this is like, you know, I saw this commercial the other day. It's like a car commercial, chick, and if the car parallel parks itself.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? This will literally chop it up for you. Like, it literally will do it for you. They have a feature in here where it literally will show you. It looks at, if you sample like the 8-bar loop, it will show you where it is, and it'll chop it for you. I don't actually use that way. I was using that way for a while until I saw the Ski video, and like everybody Googled that, like Ski Beats, Maschine. He was at Sam Ash up in New York, and he did a like a thing about it, and he was saying he doesn't use that. He chops it up himself manually because it's just so fast, and that's what I started doing after I saw Ski kind of show you how to do it. So yeah, just
so you are still chopping up yourself, just in it's a faster process.
Yeah, you can chop it yourself. It's just in a faster process. It just doesn't take time. So I never had that. Like, I literally would be on the MP and have a sample and be like, damn, it's not fitting. I'm gonna have to chop it up. And then I'm like, do I feel like doing it? Nah, I don't really like sample that much. Screw it. Go to the next one. Right. I don't do that anymore because I know it's only gonna take me a second to do it. So I'll have the time. And again, you know, we all old, we all married, kids and everything. I'm like, look, I'm when I'm in the studio, I only got but so much time. So I'm like, yo, I better find a sample. I better be in love with it because I don't have time because I'm gonna have to do something with T or Nate want to go somewhere. Right. So time is of the essence when you're a 40 plus old producer. Like, you know, I don't have, this ain't Morgan where it's like we get out of class at 12 and me and JP at his crib from 12 to 12, you know, making beats. That freedom isn't allowed to cats who got 9 to 5s and wives and kids. So that being able to just do that and chop and move it so fast, just.
So let me ask you a question with that. You got that does it quickly for you. You got the sound library. Do you feel, well, how can I say this? Not that it's if things are. Do you feel like, first question is, do you feel like things are too easy, where it's taking some of the creativity out of it? And the second question, to piggyback off of that, is to you or to the people that hear your production now, as opposed to the production off the MPC, do you hear any type of sound difference? Does the MPC? Because this is the age-old question. When you move to newer technology, something gets lost in it. There's some of the like the funk or the swing or whatever like that. Some of that feel gets lost in that process. So for those two questions, first question again is do you feel like it's too simple, where you're losing creativity? Second question is there anything that changed sonically for you, either to you or to people that know your production before the machine?
For the first question, I don't think I'm losing creativity, but I understand exactly what you're saying, because one of my peoples has said something, like I think when Pete Rock moved to the MPC 2000 XL, cats was saying like that the sound of his beats changed. And I was questioning this guy. I was like, well, how would your equipment change and affect your beats? And he was saying because when you only got that 10 seconds in the SP12, it makes your mind, you know you're under constraint, so you have to think different ways and different ways to kind of flip it. But then when you get all the sampling time, now you don't have to do that anymore, and that can kind of stifle your creativity. So great question. For me, it doesn't, because the sound library and everything that it does, again, it's kind of opened me up, because I will probably say 90% of my beats, I'm using the first 4 pads on the MPC for drums. Kick, snare, hi-hat, maybe an 808, maybe a open hi-hat, but that's it. And like I said, now with the machine, there's so many sounds in it that I literally am using 16 pads literally just for drums. You know what I mean? And I think what also helped too was when me and Bezo and Jace went down to Bing's studio, and being in the studio with Bink, like the 2 or 3 times I was down there with him, it kind of helped me to slow down my process. Like, because before it was always like this speed marathon with me to be like, okay, I got a Sunday off, I need to make 30 beats. You know, I need to make all these beats. And when I'm in the studio with Bink, like, I'll play him a sample and he'll start messing with it. And like 4 hours later, we still messing with the same sample. I'm like, yo, Bink, you killing me, man. Like, can we please move on? He's like, nah, because Bink will sit there and literally go through every kick, you know, go through every snare. He'll go through every organ noise. He will literally, I was in the studio with Bink once, and I mean, we literally worked on that track that we did for Math. Literally, we probably worked on that track for 10 hours. You know what I mean? And that being, it's almost those things coming together. Like me being in the studio with Bink has helped me use the machine differently, because now if I'm off for a Sunday, I'm really just concentrating on making one beat sound the best that it can for that whole day, versus it being, let me try to bang out 5 or 6 beats, and I just concentrate on that. So I'm taking an hour to just go through all the kicks and all the snares and all the hi-hats and all the different claves and different sounds that I never even heard of, because I've always just been a kick, snare, hi-hat. I mean, if you listen to any Gangstar album, for the most part, kick, snare, hi-hat. Mac and the Soul Brother, kick, snare, hi-hat. That's what we came up on. And I think maybe once Swiss came out, because I remember JP Roots was like, nah, Kill, you need some air candy. Right. You know, and that's kind of like when Swiss came out, and it was like, we needed shakers, we needed different things to get the beat moving. Right, exactly. Exactly. Because I just remember Roots saying, like, Kill, your beats are cool, but you need some air candy. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is air candy, man? Right. You know, again, because we came up on, you listen to Come Clean, there ain't no air candy, it's hard drums. That's it. So for me, it hasn't stifled my creativity. And my bad, Ev, you know my brain don't work. The
second question was, as far as, does it sound like, according to you or anybody that's heard your production before the machine, does it sound different? Or your beat sound?
It definitely sounds different, because I'm always like posting little joints on Instagram, and like my peoples will like leave a comment like, yo, this don't sound nothing like your old stuff. You know, so, and I think
different in a good way or different in a not so good way?
No, I mean, for what you're saying is it's in a good way, because like, you know, my man Mills may leave a comment like, damn, I love them drums. Because I mean, what I love about, you know, because I had the MPC 2000 XL like bare minimum. I had the extended memory, but I didn't have like, I guess, the sound, like the sound effects in it. Mm-hmm. So now with the machine, like there's so many times I'll have a snare in the MP and I'll be like, God, I want some reverb on it. I want that snare to last a little bit longer. Now with the machine, I can add 20 different equalizer effects to it. So now I can make that snare hard, or I can make it hit a different way, or I can change so I can manipulate the sounds that I have so much more than I could with the sounds with the MP.
Getting a better sound out of it.
Right, and getting a better sound out of it. And then also, again, like I said, I'll be the first to admit, I'll be a lazy producer at times. And, you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I kind of get my 5 favorite snares and my 5 favorite kicks. And, you know, just as time is going on, I'm not digging as much for drums, especially because I'm not selling beats. JP, when we first started, you couldn't tell us we wouldn't be just blades by now. You know? So those were the days when it was like, I got to find a different kick and a different snare and a different hi-hat for every song, because I'm going to play it for Bezo, and Shot going to be like, that's the same snare. But at 40, and I ain't selling beats like that, it's like, I ain't got time to be. So you get comfortable, and it's like, okay, these are my 5 kicks, these are my 5 snares. But again, with the machine having, like in one bank, I may have 400 different snares, just in one bank alone. So again, being with Bink, it's kind of taught me, take your time. Like my goal is to each beat that I make to never use the same drums twice. Now, even in the machine, I have some favorite kicks and snares and everything like that, but I'm trying my best because I don't have to settle for that. And now being able to manipulate the sound, I may sample a kick, but the way that it's sampled doesn't end up being the way that it sounds at the end of the process.
Right.
You know?
All right. I got another question for you. So, yes, whether you know your device of choice, MPC, SP, machine, whatever it is, it's always like your girlfriend or your mistress or something like that. So, if you think about that with your MPC,
right?
Is that like the old chick that you just ain't feeling no more, or is that like, yeah, that was my first love, so I'm gonna just put her on this, you know, I'm gonna put her over here, I'm gonna dust her off every once in a while, blow a kiss from over here while I'm on the machine, you know? How do you look at it now? Because what you said sound like you're like, man, fuck that, bro. That's what it sounds like.
Let me see if I can move the computer screen right, because I got it all hooked up. There's the MP.
That's sad. See?
Right there.
That is horrible.
It's right next to the ASR
to the curb. Like, fuck.
Word. Word.
So that's what it MP is. And you know the funny thing is, it's over here on the floor. And the other day,
look,
I just got up just to kind of like feel them again and just touch the pads again, just because I felt like, you know, and I'm a loyal dude, and I'm even.
No, you're not, because last time I was at your crib, the ASR was on the floor like that.
No, seriously, I love this machine, and this is what I'm saying, that for cats who like, this is serious, man. For me to be like, I'm done, because the thing is that, you know, with any machine that you switch to, it speaks a different language than the other one. Right. So coming from the ASR 10, it was a learning curve to get into the MP. So I even downloaded the manual before I got it, you know, because I didn't want to have that downtime of like, damn, I gotta learn this again. And because the machine speaks a totally different language, like in the MP, they're called sequences, and the machine, they're called patterns, you know, and this is called swing, and the machine is called groove. So my mind is so trained now to the machine, I literally don't even think I could use this again. Like, I don't even think my brain remembers how to even work this like that.
Look, man, you sell it, call me, because you're doing it wrong right now. Look, if all the viewers, if y'all look to your left, you see the ASR back there in the corner.
No, hold tight on that. Hold tight.
See it back there in the corner.
The ASR, and keep in mind, because it's a come up. I'm sure if you go to Pete's studio, and I've seen some video of it, the SP is on the floor. You know what I mean? And that's the SP that probably made Mecca and Main Ingredient and all the stuff that we love. But he's on the 2000 XL. You know, so again, you know,
saying on camera, like, man, you couldn't pay me to touch that SP no more. He ain't saying that.
He's not on camera saying that, but your production work, you haven't done nothing on the SP in the past 15 years. You know, you're saying it, but you're not saying it. So you're right. You're right.
So let me ask you this, Ev. You said you're a Logic cat now. So do you still use the MP yourself?
I'm an MP.
Oh, you know what, John? Let me answer that for a second, because Ev want to talk about people with equipment.
Wait a minute.
You want to put me on blast?
Wait a minute.
This dude got MPs everywhere. This nigga is like an old Sam Ash. So since you want to put me on blast with the ASR, I'm in F crib like, damn, can I hold this one? He got a 2000. He had a 2000 XL. This dude got MPs laying around everywhere.
You know what it is? You can't and I had Vic's joint.
He likes the ladies.
He likes the ladies. He likes them all around. He likes the ladies.
Sometimes you gotta love your ladies, man. You can't just go to the curb, cause you know you still gotta. Every once in a while, take them out. You know, show them the company, put them away.
You're like, yo, dude, you work for Sam Ash. You got MPs everywhere up in here.
Man, but look, I'm a equipment head, especially when it comes to hip hop, man. Because for me, that was a pivotal point. So. It's not even about work. Like I got an old 8-track in there that I probably record like one of my first projects on. Wow. But it's the fact that it has sentimental value to me now. So like, yo, this thing meant something. I did something with this, and like when we did the older shows, I had a whole bookshelf, and I would have like old pieces of equipment that I don't use no more. But still, like I still hold on to everything, man. I don't really get rid of stuff like that. That's why I'm like, yo, Kill. Let me know what's up with that MPC, because you ain't gonna take care of her, pass on to play that will. Play it at will. Let me know. But I'm on Logic now. But my workflow is different now. I do more because I'm doing more like production for like theater, or film and stuff like that. So I'm actually like I'm writing chord arrangements and I'm playing sounds more. Like everything is about like it's pretty much all it's all organic. Everything is actually being played. Right. But what I don't like about Logic is when I do want to sample something. I mean, you can do it in Logic. Right, it doesn't feel the same the way it does on the MPC. Right. But the problem with the MPC is you can do all that, and then you gotta track everything into Logic, and it's such a long, tedious process. Right. And even once you do all that, you can't really edit the way you want to edit. So so I make Logic work even for that side of the game, as far as when it comes to me still wanting to pick something out off of a record and sample it or something like that. But you know, Logic is my thing. I've been doing that for the last 10 plus, almost 15 years.
Wow.
So like for me, it's like I'm in a groove now, and I don't even want to. That's the reason why I haven't gone. I didn't go to live is because I'm not trying to learn nothing new. Like I'm good. I got my workflow. I understand my workflow. There's probably it's always gonna be something better.
Always.
It's always gonna be something better. It's always gonna be something that's gonna be doper. But then it's always gonna be, in my mind, what I'm hoping is, it's always gonna be that old equipment that everybody wants. I remember back in the day, like everybody was trying to find a reel-to-reel. Because everybody wanted that sound, like, yo, let's run through the reel-to-reel. It'll sound all warm and nice and good.
Right.
You know, so I still have that thought too. I mean, that may not necessarily be the case now because technology has advanced so much and so well.
Right.
But you know, I still hold on to stuff, man. It's still my dream at one point to pull out. I got an old track board. I just want to pull it out and run stuff through it just to see what it sounds like. I'm just an audiophile. Like I want to see, like, okay, what kind of sound I get if I actually run it through this board as opposed to throwing a plug-in filter on it.
Okay.
You know, I'm just curious as far as like what kind of sound I'm always going to get when I play around with stuff.
You know, it's funny that you said that because that's how I am. Like I look at like somebody want to cop an old Rhodes keyboard. You know, like if I had the money, I would buy an SP12 just to have it. You know, I literally may not even ever turn it on or use it because it probably would frustrate me so much that it can't do what the machine can do that I probably end up throwing it out the window. But if I had the money and I could come up on an SP12, I'd get an S950, I'd get an MPC 3000. Like I would want to have those things. So like you said, those are the building blocks of hip hop. But just like I said, it was that gradual progression. I mean, Dilla was on SP12. You know, Tip was on SP. Everybody was on SP12.
I always wanted a 3000 myself. I started, you know.
I did too.
Yeah, Kill. You know, I started with the ASR. You know, after you got yours and I got mine, and then I caught me an SP, and I was doing both for a minute, and then I ended up. I didn't really love the SP. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't. You know, I heard so much about it, and when I finally got it, it was okay, and you know, what was it, 10 seconds of sampling time or something like that?
Yeah.
Something short. And, you know, the ASR had more than that. So I used it for a little while, but then I sold it. And then when I got the MPC 2000 XL, man, I was like, yo, this is crazy. So I would use that with the ASR 10 all the time. Just do the drums specifically on the MP and sample with the ASR. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, had that together. But now, you know, I'm reasoning. I'm reasoning all the way.
I got a production question. This is for both of y'all. So you just talked about drums. Now, I see my man JP got the MPC, the 2000 XL over there.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't gonna talk about what Kill got on the floor. That's all good. But my question is, you know, with the MPC back in the day, that was a thing for everybody to have their own drum library.
Right.
So, Kill, do you still feel that way now? And JP, do you still like have like your own? Like, well, let me take it back. Did y'all ever put together your own drum library?
I did. I mean, I had my go-to drum sounds like Kill said you had. Like I had them, but I didn't take the time to put a library together. You know what I'm saying? I just had certain discs I know I could grab. Oh, let me grab this because it's got the snare I want, or the claps I want, or the, you know what I'm saying, the kick I want, or whatever. So I knew those things, but I didn't really take the time to do, because I know people do that, and I'd be like, I'm not doing that.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think for me, like we talked about on that sampling show that we did, you know, I think it's all about how you come up. So like JP, like you said, when I got on the SP12 with my man Osei, I really didn't like it because of the sampling time. Right. You know, so I always think it's what you're coming from. And even with Osei, we had a ragtag setup. My first production setup was a Gemini mixer with an 8-second sampler and a 4-track. And I would literally sample into the mixer and hit record on track 1 on the 4-track and just have to keep sitting there hitting that Gemini mixer, and track 1 would just be the sample. Then I'd have to open up track 2 and loop some drums. So coming from that, I felt like I had unlimited sampling time, and then I got on the SP, and it's like, nah, you only got 10 seconds. You can't do that. Yeah. I didn't like it. Now, if I never knew that, because keep in mind, most of the cats who were on the SP12 was on it when it first dropped. Because there was a lot of cats who was on the SP12 first, before the SP1200. Right. You know, so the same way we're looking at the MPC 60 to the 3000, that was the 12 to the 1200. So at the time, that was the best thing.
Right.
But when you've already surpassed that, because I remember Muggs saying, no, I remember Alchemist saying that Muggs used to have like 8 SPs set up around the studio for more sampling time. And when Alchemist saw the ASR 10, he's like, man, fuck, I'm getting 10 drum machines for, I'm gonna just get the ASR 10.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's based off of what you have at that time. So I think that's the cats who swear by the SP, and this is actually a dope book. I go through all this stuff. This joint right here, it's about the SP12, and it's got just all different people. It's funny.
Who's the author on that joint?
This is by Peabody.
Okay.
Good screenshot of it. It's kind of hard to find. My man came through the studio one day and tried to find it on Google, because this man came out, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But like Graph is in it. The funny thing, everybody's in it except Pete Rock, which is like blasphemy.
Yeah.
Because I actually, Pete got at me on Twitter because I said something about that, and he said I think he wanted to get paid for it. Maybe they didn't want to pay him, so he's like, I'm gonna come out with my own book or something like that. But Ski, Buckwild, Lord Finesse, Rap, any Jazzy Jeff, anybody you could think of is in this book. And the first part of the book is actually the manual to the SP12, how to take it apart, how to clean it, everything like that. And then everything else is, it even has Jamie Staub in here, who's Pete's engineer through Mecca and Main Ingredient. So it's a dope book. But most of those people, and it's so funny because Pete is synonymous with it, because the bulk of the people who say, I got an SP12 was because of Pete Rock. Like, it kept coming, like so many people just kept saying, I heard Mac and the Soul Brother, what was Pete using? I wanted the SP. You know?
It's funny when you say that though, because like I love Pete Rock, but I was a Primo dude. Like Primo was always my man. That's why I went to the MPC, because Primo was using the MPC. It was like, oh, Primo using MPC, I want to get MPC. But it's funny how like we were all birthed according to who had our most attention.
Yo,
Right.
you know, it's funny. We talking about all the, and I think about it. One of my first experiences back in the '80s with drum machines was this dude on my block. He used to make beats, and he had a Dr. Rhythm drum machine. Y'all familiar with Dr. Rhythm?
Yeah, I remember that joint.
Yo,
I'm not that familiar with Dr. Rhythm.
and then he had the drum machine at the time in the '80s. After Dr. Rhythm was the Alessi's drum. Alessi's had an ill.
I remember the Alessi. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he used to make the craziest beats on that. And I was like, yo, I'm going to get one of them. But I ended up not getting it. And then, years passed, and then, I got the ASR and all that. But the funny thing, when you talk about the MP, Ev, how Primo, I think I was fascinated when because Primo was using the 60, right? The MP60 first, right?
Yeah.
And man, the 62, I wish I can find that today, just so I can have it. But go ahead,
The 3000, when the 3000 came out, and I know the hip hop heads that were using that, but then also when I found out like Babyface was using the 3000 too, I was just like, oh, I mean Babyface used 3000 for some of his biggest hits. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, it was crazy to me. I was like, yo, I gotta get it, but I couldn't afford it at the time, so I was just like, and I still want one, just because.
That's funny. Remember like how you couldn't afford nothing, but everything now is like dumb cheap. Like yo, cause me and my man, I remember we went half on the MP. On that the red MP I got, the 2000, yo, we was like, all right, I got this much, you got that much. We went down to that back in Philly, 8th Street Music, and they had one in there. I was like, yo, they got the one in there, and it had the time pushed up to like 3 minutes. So I was like, we got to get this joint, and we went and got it. But it took like 2 of us to actually start piecing stuff together.
But the hard part about that, fam, and the reason why I like those days, because that's what separated the purist from the I think I may want to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, if you prayerfully my mom ain't watch, well, I won't go too deep. I just had some elaborate schemes put together through college to try to get equipment. Like you said, it wasn't just hey, I want to be a producer today, so let me buy an iPad and get GarageBand. You know what I mean? Like, this was, we had to sit down and plot out, okay, how you going to get the money? How you going to get the money? Yep. My people with the SP12, like it was some bank account mix up. And they put $2,000 in my man's account by mistake, and they was off to, to the record store to get the SP. But Nowadays, it's just the difference is like you get everybody's a producer because it's like, oh, I can get Fruity Loops and I can get Fruity Loops for free and I can get this for free. And most people feel that way about their art. I know photographers who hated the fact that you can go out and buy a Canon T4i, you know, for $600-700, and now everybody's a photographer, you know, or DJs that hate the fact that you can go out and buy Serato and now you don't need crates of records no more. Now everybody's a DJ and everybody's a producer. So it's made people's passion, you know, almost belittled in a way because, like I said, JP, when we was at Morgan from 92 to probably about 96, it was probably no more than 10 producers on that campus. Like, it literally was like either you go on the Roots, Shy, Beagle, me, you, my man Black, and maybe that's 6, and I'm saying maybe it was 4 more out there on all of Morgan campus. I bet money there's at least 20 producers in Baldwin Hall alone.
Right. And they producers because they got the equipment on the iPad. That's it.
Right. And like you said, you had this, you know. But
the access, I think the access to it makes it. And you know, I was just watching this interview with The Dream. He was like, now it shows you the difference between the hobbyists and the passionate people.
Right.
And the access gives everybody, it's a gift and a curse. A lot of people who are super talented has access to get to stuff that they couldn't afford, so now they can make some good art. But then there's people who don't really love it, do it just because they can do it, because some of their favorite artists can do it. They're like, oh, I can do it too. So, you know, it's just it's a
question. I'm just playing devil's advocate real fast. And my question is, do y'all feel like, and not that I disagree with what you're saying, because I totally agree, but just to give it a different perspective, do y'all feel like the fact that, you know, the equipment is cheaper now we get more independent music, is that good for music? I mean, I have my own thoughts when I ask y'all this question. Is that good for the music industry, the fact that, you know, so many people can put together an album in their mom's living room and upload it to, you know, you can easily get into iTunes now, you can easily put it on Bandcamp and that whole thing? Do you feel like we're getting more quality music because it's more? Do you feel like it's more music first? And second is, do you feel like it's more quality? Or do you feel like, you know, this is just basically giving too many people access to get through a little hole?
I personally think as far as the music industry, I can't really speak on that. I think it's good because we're getting more music I feel like we wouldn't normally get if people couldn't afford these things. So, like, I feel like the good music now, we just have to search for it. It's just online. You got to take your time to search for it. And a lot of times, like, one thing I do if I go to iTunes and I download something, and they always have the people who bought this, you may like this or whatever. And I'll search through some songs, and I discover artists I never heard of or songs, and I'll be like, yo, this is crazy. And I would have never heard that person because they're not being played on the radio. Mm-hmm. And it just opens my world up to something new, and I love that. There's so much good music out there. You just got to search for it now. You can't expect it to hear it on the radio. So I think it's a good thing, personally.
Now, that part of searching for it, like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like now you got to do work to find your music as opposed to the music finding you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to do work to it because I feel like now everybody's attention span is shorter. So you have to put in work especially now because the music on the radio is not. I feel like I'm not the target audience, especially for terrestrial radio. Like, you know, your Hot 97s, your 92Qs, your, you know, whatever station, those popular R&B, hip hop stations, they pretty much play the same thing. If you're in the South, if you're in the North, like they play the same. It's like the same format. So I don't mind doing the work to find something else that I'm gonna really appreciate. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's that's like my reward for the hard work. You're gonna find something that you really love. So I don't mind doing the work, actually.
Gotcha.
And I think for me it's the same thing that you know, I don't mind because I think, you know, I think number one, I think Quest said something like this where he was saying, you know, you've got people who listen to music for different reasons. Like, you have people who listen to music just in its background, music in their lives. You know, like, I have friends who literally are like, yo, I've never brought like of course they brought a CD, but right. they'll look at my CDs and be like, yo, I probably haven't brought more than 10 CDs ever in my life. And I mean, we all knew cats like that. There was cats around all the way growing up who would come to our crib and be like, yo, dub me a copy of that tape or whatever, who just don't buy music. But I think people like us, yo, seriously, music is like my drug. Like, I don't drink, I don't get high. So if I have a bad day, I come home, put on my headphones, and just music takes me somewhere. So I'm like JP, I don't mind digging. I wish more people did dig. You know what I'm saying? Like, as soon as somebody follows me on Twitter, if they have a SoundCloud page, I go to it. You know, I want to hear, is your music good? You know, is this something? Hey, I'm on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter to follow my favorite actress or some chick who I think is hot. I'm on Twitter to make moves with people. So my thing is, okay, I want to hear if okay, you're an MC, it says you're an MC in your bio, let me go to your SoundCloud page. Your stuff is dope. Okay, I may inbox you, yo, check out my stuff. Maybe we could collab. So I'm like JP, like we were just talking about the dude, Alan Stone. He was, I had his album a while ago, and I picked it up again to check something from it. And I went on YouTube and I found that he was singing this song, and it's by this group called Tingsek, Tingsek. Mm-hmm. And like JP, like you just said, then I went to their YouTube page and got put on the stuff and found their album. And like and this is the one thing, I guess I'm incriminating myself, I've never brought anything from iTunes. Like literally, I think, you know what I brought from iTunes? I brought D'Angelo because it dropped that day. And I brought the Beyonce album that dropped that day. Mm-hmm. But I'm not an iTunes dude. I'll find my music otherwhere, and I'm still the dude who still wants to buy the CD. So, like, I just copped Raheem DeVaughn's new album, but I want the CD. That's just me being old. Right. But like literally, that group Tingsek, like the song that Alan Stone did of theirs was so dope. I couldn't find their music anywhere, any of my spots, so I just brought it. Like, so I'm with you, JP. That's like it's you feel that reward. You feel that reward because I'm sure most people don't know about this group Tingsek. Right. You know what I mean? So now I feel special that I'm like, wow, I found something dope that I know other people don't know about. You know, so what about you, Ed? What do you think about all the music? And I think, let me say this too. I think it's dope that we have a lot of music. You just have to take the time to sift through it because there is a lot of whack music. You know, there's a lot of whack people on SoundCloud. There's a lot of whack people on Bandcamp. And there's probably more whackness than dopeness. But I think, again, by us being diggers, my brain has always been set on I have to look for music to sample. So I don't think it's now changing to now I just have to look for music to listen to. And it still goes back to something that Nas said once, and he said if it's dope enough, it'll find its way to me. You know what I mean? Like, enough people will tell me about it. And that's actually how I got put on to Drake, because like 5-6 different people from different walks of life told me about Drake. Like, my man who goes to church was like, yo, this dude Drake is nice. One of my drug dealing friends told me, yo, Drake is nice. Like, 5 people from 5 totally different places of life was talking about this dude Drake. And I'm like, I gotta hear this dude. And I won't hold you. Right. When Drake first came out, I was like, yo, no disrespect to anybody light skinned. I just was like, I ain't never seen no light skinned dude who can spit. So I just, off of look alone, I was like, this dude can't be nice. But I heard the mix. Sorry, I'm just being honest. I mean,
it's true.
Not too many Puerto Rican ball players in the NBA. So, you know, nothing against my Puerto Rican brethren, but, you know, I'm like, I've never seen an MC, this light skinned pretty boy who gonna spit. But dude was dope. So that's where my thing is too. Like, if it's dope enough, it'll get to me. You know, Rock Marciano, when he first came out, you know, I was like, whatever, you know, but enough people kept talking about Rock Marciano. I was like, yo, I gotta hear this dude. So I always feel like even if it gets past me with my digging, that I got enough people around me, especially now on Twitter, that will definitely get at me and school me to some stuff. But what do you think, Al?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think it's kind of a two-edged sword. I think it's a good thing. I think it helped a lot of people to express their creativity. I think, you know, of course, because it was so inexpensive, you know, you got floods and floods of trash in there. So, and it makes it difficult to sift through. And I go record digging, but going online and sifting through stuff is not really my thing. Like I really don't take that much time to sit down and like, okay, let me see what I can find. Usually the way I get my new music is from somebody that I know whose opinion that I trust. Right. So if we on here and somebody was like when we're on doing the bench, I'm actually like writing sometimes. Right. Somebody might be like, yo, check out this and that, and I heard, and I'd be like, okay. So when I get off the show, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking out the new stuff. So that's usually how I get my new music, is from people that whose opinion I value, and I can trust their ears. So, and I'll check like that, but I don't too often, because a lot of times when I'm digging like that, I'm digging to buy. So if I'm sifting through stuff, a lot of times I may not like buy your album if it's not like, if I listen to 3 or 4 songs and they're not banging, I'm probably not gonna buy it. And I'm still an album cat. Like, I might hear a song here, hear a song there, but if the album isn't good, 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna remember you 6 months from now. You know, like with this cat here, Alan Stone. If I go and I hear like 3 or 4 songs, and if they dope, then I'll buy his album. If they not, I'll be like, oh, I'm cool. Right. So, you know, that's pretty much how I get like my new stuff. Is through that, and I'm going for like an album of work. I want to see what you're doing on your like project. Like, singles is cool, but I want to see what your project is like when you put your all into it. What it's really about. Right. So, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's kind of a two-edged sword, because I think it's made some things more difficult. I think it's successfully has like put his foot in like the music industry, which I think was needed. But now the problem now is nobody can afford promotion, so it's hard to find the new music.
Right. No, I feel you. And back to the Machine real quick, because one of the questions my man always asks me is, he was like, why did you get the Machine versus the Kai Renaissance? Right. You know what I'm saying? Because the Kai had their thing out, and the biggest reason for me was price. I think the Renaissance is $1,200. This was $500. So it literally was. It was that, and then I've always done this. Like, when I first started making beats with Osei, whatever 4-track he had, that's what I brought. You know, whatever. If he was on a 2000, I always wanted somebody to have what I have, because I'm not the manual dude. And again, this is before we had YouTube. And I mean, now you got DVDs. When I brought the MPC, if Naomi's 9, I've had it for 9 years. When I brought it, it came with a how to use the MPC DVD. Like, I was like, oh shit, when they start making this, like, you know. So again, my man Theo had the Machine, who lives around the corner from me. So I knew, worst come to worst, I could always go to his crib and he could school me on this. I didn't know anybody with the Renaissance. So really, that's what it was. But I mean, if the Renaissance was probably $500 too, I probably would have brought that just off the Akai name, and, you know, already being with Akai. But, you know, you can't beat this for $500. Like, you just, I mean, hell, you go on eBay right now, you may not be able to get a 2000 XL for $500. A used one, you know, at that. True. So, so to tell me I can now have this piece of equipment, I don't got to worry about zips no more. You know, I got, you know, the creative freedom and everything. That was the selling point to me that just sold it on me. And like I said, I love the MP to death, but yo, the workflow, everything in it, like I seriously mean. And it was crazy because last time I was at Binks, he had got the Kai Renaissance and he hadn't started messing with it yet. But like I said, man, it's just like Akai would literally have to pay me to work on the Renaissance. Like, literally, like, you can't even give me one. If Akai sent me a Renaissance right now, I'd probably sell it on eBay. I wouldn't even probably open it, because
that's such a strong.
You're real disrespectful on the show right now.
I'm just saying, B. You know how you're in Logic and that's what works for you, and that's thing, and you're not. Like, I fall in love with the Machine. Like, so it don't matter. Like, we talking about women, it don't matter what you put in front of me. That I'm good with this. Like, I'm good. I ain't creeping. I ain't cheating. I'm good over here. Wifey take care of home. There's no reason for me to be out in the streets no more. Like, I'm good. And I mean, that may be closed-minded. You know, that may be closed-minded to say, well, Kill, you know, the Renaissance may have something that can do this better. It could, I'm just good. I'm so in love right now.
That's like chasing the goat, though. I'm always like, when people say that, because I'm always like, it's always gonna be something better. You'll be chasing a bunch of stuff and never really master what it is that you have.
But you know what happens? Here's what happens. I feel like all the greats move on. Like, I'm sure Pete's not on the SP12. I don't think Primo was ever really on it. I know Ski's not on the SP12. Dilla, before he passed, wasn't on the SP12. You know, Tip isn't on the SP12. They moved to the 3000. You know, and then Tip was on the 3000 for a while, and then they moved on from that. So there's constant that move. So I don't know if it's that you'll never master it, because I would probably say Pete Rock was, and Large Pro were probably the SP1200 masters.
No, but I'm saying they've been. I mean, I'm saying if you constantly jump from one machine to another when something new comes out, you'll never really get.
And you know who does that? A lot of times he does that. You know, and I think that's a personality thing, because he was always one of my favorite producers. So I'm always following dude, and like in one video he's on the Maschine, the next video he's on something else, and you know, that's just not my personality because I don't like learning new things. I just want to find what works for me and stay.
Jump into it.
You know what I mean?
So here's a quick question for you. Is it any of the producers that we came up on? Have any of those guys gone digital? Are any of those guys on Maschine or went to Ableton Live? Or does anybody know if they actually made that digital shift, or they still like on some type of like analog drum machine, like an MPC or something like that?
I think Pete is still on the 2000 XL. I know Primo is on the Renaissance.
Yeah,
he made the Prime album on the Renaissance, and that's what he's been doing. And when you talk about a change in the sound, it's very obvious with Preem, because one of my beefs with him over the years was the same drums. I know what Primo beat as soon as I hear it. He actually did a track for Joey Badass. I don't really like it like that, but it sounded nothing like Primo. Like when I hit play, I was like, wow, like this sounds absolutely nothing like a DJ Premier beat. So I think you do kind of hear the sound change in it, but I know Ski is on the Maschine. Like I said, he's always, you know, moving forward. I don't know what Tip is on. I think the cats of the last two Raw are probably on the 2000 XL, because I know a lot of diehard MP people stopped messing with the MP with the 3000 because that was the last one that Roger Lynn designed. So for a lot of times there was like
3000 was crazy, like it didn't make sense.
But the thing is I was like JP when I got the ASR. I think my mom was like, look, I got $2,000. And I couldn't. The 3000 was like $3,000, so I was like, all right, 3000. I can't get that, so it's the ASR and SP. I gotta get the ASR. But I know a lot of Akai elitists at the time when the 2000 came out. That was like, that's whack, because Roger Lynn didn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? A lot of elitists, snob, Akai, MPC dudes was like, the 2000 and anything that came after the 3000 really ain't an MP, because Roger Lynn did not design that. Roger Lynn, for people who don't know, Roger Lynn is the person who first he had the Lynn drum machine, then he had the 60 and the 62 and the 3000, and then he left the Kai. So you have a lot of MP snobs who's like, yo, the 2000 ain't a real MP, or the 2000 XL ain't a real MP. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it goes in different ways. I mean, again, and I guess it sounds disrespectful, but I don't mean it, because I love the MP. But it was just like, and the funniest thing about the Maschine, why I never wanted to get on it, I don't know if cats remember, there was a Maschine that Roland had out that had the 16 pads on it back in the day that RZA used to co-sign for. Then he'd be in Scratch Magazine and XXL, they had ads, and I would be like, yo, that's whack. Like, y'all straight bit the MP, like the 16 pads and everything. That's
what I'm talking about. Yeah, Roland MX 800 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I remember everybody being like, yo, that's whack. They straight bit the MP. And when I saw the Maschine, I'm like, well, shit, y'all bit the MP. It looks just like it with the 16 pads. Like, but I think it's all about the same way we always talk about music. So much with music is timing and when it drops. You know, like when the Fugees dropped the score, there was a timing thing with that. You know, not saying it was on purpose or not, but the time was just perfect. You know, hardcore hip hop was real big and Lauren singing, and it just dropped at a time that just hip hop needed that breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Or like with Little Brother, I may not be a huge fan, but when that listening dropped, it dropped at a specific time when that sound was needed. If you make the listening drop in '94, when Return of the Boom Bap and Midnight Marauders and all that stuff came out, that shit would have got lost in the sauce, like the Boogie Monsters or, you know, Rumpelstiltskins, that group from Long Island. It just would have got lost in the sauce. So I think the thing with the Maschine is it just dropped at a time when I guess cats were now open, you know, because of the software, because the computer stuff, that people were a little more open to kind of like welcome in a machine that looks exactly like the MP, because I'm like, that Roland thing did nothing, you know. So I think it's that timing thing. But, you know, no disrespect to Kai, you know, if y'all watching, y'all want to send me one, you know. I'll open it, I'll play with it, and you know,
you're gonna throw it right on the floor like you did the other one.
now you act like, now you call me a wife abuser, dude. Throw it on the floor.
A drum machine.
I laid it on the floor.
I'm gonna get a wife beater that says Drum Machine Abuse on it. And it's gonna be killed throwing MPCs. There's a picture of him on the back.
But you know, the good thing is, it's still here. I haven't sold it. You know, that's the thing. You know, I didn't sell it back.
You just beat it, but you ain't sell it. I feel you. I understand.
Nah, but like you said, man, like you said, and the funny thing about it is, I was shocked because, you know, Beezel was on the 2000 XL. And when I got this, I called him. I was like, yo, man, this thing is a beast. And I was shocked, like, literally, like, the next day, he went out and brought the machine. Like, and talking to him the other day, like, same thing. Like, I don't know if he's at the point where Kai couldn't pay him, but you know, he's definitely like, I ain't going back. Like, it's no love loss, you know. With
I've heard great things about the machine. I've seen countless videos. I was thinking of looking into it myself too. So I mean, it still might be an option for me. And that price, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat $500. I mean, there's some plugins that cost more than $500. You know, so you can't beat $500. Worst case scenario, you don't like it. You know, I think when I brought mine from eBay, I brought it. I'll never like buying stuff from people. I brought it from a company on eBay, and they had like a 30-day money-back guarantee, like no questions asked. I was like, yo, you can't beat a guarantee like that. If you don't like it, just send it back. But if you love it for $500, yo, the shit will change your life. And again, that's just me. Like, maybe for somebody like you said, Ev, who has a drum library and has all these sounds already, they may be good with the MP. They may not need that. But for somebody like me who just has a library of kick, snares, and hi-hats, and even when cats have sent me, like you sent me some drum kits, or, you know, if I get a Drake 1 drum kit or something, for the most part, it's kicks. It's 500 kicks, 500 hi-hats, 500 snares, you know. So it's not like in these drum kits you're buying from, you know, you get your Just Blaze drum kit or your Kanye West drum kit. It's not like you're getting all these drum sounds. Like, there are literally drum sounds in here I've never even heard of. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just, for me, it just, like I said, it just spoke my language, and I fell right into it. Probably, it's one of those things, like, the first beat I made, I think is a banger. It wasn't like, okay, I got to get 10 beats under my belt, you know, until I finally feel like I'm there. The first joint was a banger. And I think it's that same progression. You know, Alchemist came up on the ASR 10. It was ASR 10 for a minute. And he got into, I think he was on the MPC 2500. Right. You know, and it kind of just was like, yo, you know, you kind of just grew out that, the maybe the limitations that the ASR 10 had, or the limitations. I think now what's happening with the equipment we're using, it's a lot less limitations there. You know, the SP12 definitely had limitations. I don't know if the 3000 had limitations, but, you know, the ASR had limitations. And I think now, around that time, I think after the 3000, I think more of these companies started talking to producers, like, what do you guys need? What do you guys want? Because we forget that the SP1200 wasn't made for hip hop. You know what I mean? I don't know if the MPC 60 was made for hip hop. I think after the 3000, the bulk of what was made for hip hop people in mind. You know what I mean? So I don't know, bro. Like I said, man, this whole conversation started by me saying that, yo, you gotta come through and mess with the machine, man. You gotta come through and rock with it, man. You know, because I see that look on your face, man. It's like a look of different.
I mean, to each his own. You know, I understand, like, you know, the forward progression. I just think when you start beating your equipment and throwing it in the corner, you're like, yo, you can't pay me to touch that thing ever again. Like, I think that's a little harsh, you know. You've been riding with you for like 10, 15 years. You know, she's been with you. But now, you got something.
You know what?
Now you don't know.
Yeah. You know the conversations that me and you have offline. You know my brain says some things that most people feel but don't mean. Because if you put the SP1200 in the closet and don't rock with it for the next 15 years, in your mind you're saying you couldn't pay me to pick that up. You're just not saying it. Because if you want to rock with it, you could.
You put it in the closet to keep it. You keep it nice and you don't get it dusty. You keep
my ASR
and the thing is, it's like your fine cheese and wine. When people come over, you take it out and you let people don't touch it. Like, you let them look at it. You know, you put it back. You know, but you don't just come to the crib and you see, you know, ASR sitting in the corner all sad, lonely, right next to the ASR. It's like a line.
Spanking new. This is no abuse on this. I was over my man's crib in Philly. This nigga Fig down north, he had an ASR 10. He used it as an ashtray. Like, this dude will put out his figure.
Horrible.
The ASR logo right there. So I've seen people, there ain't no stickers on this. There ain't This thing is brand spanking new.
But okay, so this is the thing. And people, I have to build the visual real fast. I know we gotta go, but when I came to Kill's crib, MPC was on its own little section, had its own little space. It was like 2 feet from everything else. It was by itself. I think it had like a little rolling cart or something like that. You know, it was not a speck of dust on the joint. And I looked to the side, like right where that microphone is. I looked to the side. And I'm like, oh, that's an ASR. ASR all on the ground, just looking sad, man. Just like, you know, like it just got beat before I got there. You know what I mean? But it's not allowed to cry.
And I was like, be quiet. Somebody coming over. No doubt.
And I bet you the machine is in its MPC. Where the machine at right now, Kill? Can we see it?
What?
Yeah, to the left, right? I know where the machine is.
It's where the MP used to be.
It's like, yo, you come to the crib and you be like, where wifey? I'm like, she upstairs in the bed. Like, that's what she supposed to be. Like,
another chick in the basement.
Yeah. She ain't gonna be out in the basement freezing. She upstairs up under the cover waiting for the show.
That's the new girl, not the old girls in the basement freezing.
Well,
it's like 1 degree right now, so she downstairs in the basement. Like, they gonna feed me today? Maybe not.
Cold. What's that video is on YouTube? It's cold in the D. That's what it is, man.
Cold.
It's cold in the D, man. It's cold in the D. But yo, before we jet, I want to ask a quick question to y'all, because we were just talking about music and the way it comes out and everything like that. What do you guys feel about the way music is dropped nowadays? Like, Drake just dropped the album last Thursday. Out of nowhere, no promotion, no nothing. You know, J. Cole dropped his album, no promotion. You know, D'Angelo did it with Black Messiah. I think Beyonce was the first one who set it off ever.
The first one I know to do it like that on a big scale.
Who just dropped it with no promotion. What do you guys feel about that? Do you like it? Or do you rather the anticipation? For me, I love it. I love just being able to just pop up one day and I'm like, oh damn, it's a new album out. You know, it's like, because with the Prime album, I hated that because they dropped that Prime video on like
2-3 months before, yeah.
You know, it was like, damn, I gotta wait till December. Like, you serious? So it was like, so I almost like it just coming out of nowhere. But JP, what do you think? Like, do you like that, or do you prefer the promotion when it's coming?
I think it depends on the artist. You have to be a certain artist to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? With Beyonce, with D'Angelo, I mean, the anticipation was there anyway because he takes so much time in between projects. And with Beyonce, she's at a level where she could do that. She don't need promotion. And Drake too. You know what I'm saying? I think he did that to fulfill some contract stuff, but that's something else. But I like it for certain artists, but it doesn't work for every artist. Certain artists need that first single, that second single. They need that promotion first out there. So I think it depends on the artist.
Okay, what you think, Al?
I actually agree with, but I agree with JP. I think he's absolutely right. It depends on the artist. It depends on, like, you know, what your following is. If you can afford to just drop it and have enough people to get wind of it and go and support what you're doing. I like the idea of it. I mean, to me, it's like, you know, like House of Cards. You know, I think House of Cards for me was the first thing that they dropped, and it was like the whole season is there. And at first I was like, that's crazy. Why would you want to do that? And then me and wife was in there for like a week, like this.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Just, you know what I mean? I remember it was cold too. We ain't going outside. We just all day in the crib watching House of Cards. Right. So, I mean, I like that aspect of it, of being able to go and jump into something, especially if it's a good project. Like, you know, when it's a good project, you can go and it made my day better. And then now, I don't know if it's just now, but now, like, you know, for D'Angelo's last album, it's actually lasting longer with me. Usually, my thought would be it would drop so quick, I would listen to it, and then I'll be off of it real quick. But now, you know, if the music is good, the project is good, it'll last long. So I like it for those that can do it. Right. Those that can do it, I appreciate. I appreciate just hearing a single and being able to get the whole album. Like, I hate waiting. Like, you know what I mean? I hate like waiting for it. Like, I gotta wait till 2 months down the line to hear it, and by the time, you know, the anticipation builds up, but then it's like, then the doubts come in. Sometimes to me it gives you too much space for some of that, you know, and I'm like, is it gonna be good? It may not be as good, I don't know. Now the second single ain't really rock like the first one, so what we gonna really get? So I think when it just drops, it kind of it alleviates you having time to put doubt or any type of negative thought into it.
Right. That's dope. And And I feel you have on the House of Cards joint, because now it's hard for me to wait for the next week. Like I find myself like literally just DVRing a series, like at least 3 or 4, so I can just sit there and just go with it.
Yeah.
Having to wait. But that's what I mean by Netflix and everything else has made us impatient. It's made us not want to wait. It's made us want everything right now.
But you know what? I thought about that, but is that I know we get along with it, but is that really true? Because we wait a whole year for the next one.
This is true.
I mean, we wait the year, but I know just with like being able to watch, Orange is the New Black and being able to watch House of Cards right then and there has just put me in a place where, like I said, like The Americans is a dope show on FX. If y'all don't watch, about Russian spies set in the 80s. Because at this time of point, I got a lot of shows on. I'm watching Banshee, I watch House of Cards, House of Lies, I watch Shameless, The Walking Dead. Because all these shows are on, The Americans, I can just let pile up on the DVR and wait till Friday comes, and then I can just veg out on that. And for me, I prefer that. I prefer being able to just sit there, like you said, and just veg out on something all at one time versus having to wait to the next week. I never forget when The Wire was out. I think season 4 came out, and my man Mills hit me like, yo, my bootleg spot up in Baltimore got the whole season. And I literally left my gig in D.C., drove to the west side of Baltimore, copped the whole series for $40, came back and watched it. Whereas you got my man Jace, I'm like, yo, I got the whole series. You want it? He's like, nah, like, The Wire makes my Sunday nights. Like, I like being able to wait for it. I know at the end of my week, I got The Wire, and I'm just a different personality. If you tell me I can have a whole season right now, give it to me. Like, give it to me right now. I want to know what's going on. So it just comes down to your personality. Some people look forward to the joint at the end of the week. But since we talking about shows, last show, don't know if y'all watched Breaking Bad. If y'all did, Just Call Saul is on now, and it's dope. Ev, you used to watch Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah. I actually saw, I think, the first episode of Just Call Saul. Yeah.
Did you watch Breaking Bad, JP?
Me and my wife, we just went through the whole series on Netflix. Recently in the past couple of months. So I'm gonna give Better Call Saul a chance. I was surprised that they made that a show. I think he was a great addition to the cast, but to have his own show, that's different for me. So I'm gonna check it out, though.
I heard it's good though.
Yeah, it's dope, man. It's dope. It's because I think whoever came up with that whole idea of the prequel instead of the sequel, is real dope. So you're seeing Saul before he was the Saul that's on Breaking Bad.
Oh, it's before. Okay.
Yeah, it was before. This is him coming up to Breaking Bad. And you're seeing a lot of the characters from Breaking Bad before they were the characters on Breaking Bad, So dope conversation. YouTube.com/live from the bench. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. Is it blasphemous that I'm saying that Akai cannot pay me to use the machine? I mean,
here you go again. You just gotta say it just like that, right? That's sad.
Is it blasphemous? She can hear you talking like that crazy right now.
She right in the room. That's so disrespectful. She right there.
That's why the zip stopped working, right? She was like, nigga, you ain't hitting it right. So, I'm going to just stop. I'm going to stop putting out because you ain't hitting it right now. So you can't get that. And she right here in the room. So you're right. But there's a billion YouTube videos, the Machine versus the Kai Renaissance. Let us know what y'all think. Have y'all rocked with both? Which one do you prefer or not? And let us know. Another dope show. JP and Ev, good looking out. Peace. Keep it live for next week. Live from the Writers Bench.
Peace.